I'm Caroline.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Jen. And this is Talk Dogs with Us. Today's episode, it's about burnout. Who isn't burnout these days?
What do you do about it?
What do you do about it?
That's the question for Caroline. She's going to fix us all. One podcast episode.
This episode is for animal care workers, so veterinarians, technicians, trainers, groomers, shelter workers,
pet sitters,
dog walkers, pet sitters, anybody working in the care of animals. Zookeepers. Yeah, that's good.
We like them.
Yep.
And we have with us today Caroline Cox, a veterinary social worker that's going to help us talk about burnout.
Thinking about how to think about it.
So, like I mentioned in our interview with Caroline about her job as a veterinary social worker, animal care work takes an emotional cost, an emotional toll. And sometimes there's just not enough gas in the tank to pay that toll. That's not really how you pay tolls, but can you imagine crossing the bridge every day and they just siphon a little gasoline out of your car? I'd be so annoyed. I hate getting gas as a chore.
How long would that take?
So
And
they
it's
just,
like
they
you don't
just
know
got
what
a
amount
little.
it's going to be.
They'd take out 5 mils of gas.
I really think if you cross the bridge and you can't pay the toll, the little arm should get to thwap your car one time,
Yeah.
and that should be the payment.
Right on the back.
Yeah, just a little swap, and then off it goes. So the thinking about how to think about it is that this is a care job. It emotionally costs a price. And sometimes that price is a little hard to pay.
All right. So what is burnout?
I would say one of the biggest things when I think about talking to people about this is distinguishing between burnout and compassion fatigue.
Yeah.
Because I think, too, something that happened, I don't want to say that I dread is definitely not the right word. I get nervous about talking to people about this sometimes because I feel like it's been forced into you as someone who has a job where you're prone to getting burnt out. But it's kind of empty words, make sure you don't get burnt out. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
But
There's
no,
not a lot of hard and fast how-tos. It's just don't do it.
Recognize if you are and don't do it.
Don't let that happen to you.
Better not.
So, yeah, I try to be tactful, I guess, about how I talk about it, but I think something that has been helpful, I believe, to people is understanding that difference. So I would say, are you guys familiar with that difference? Do you know?
I don't.
I'm less familiar. It's hard to distinguish between them sometimes.
Yes. I think the most important takeaway is that burnout can happen to anyone that works. Anyone with a job can be burnt out.
Yeah.
Because it basically results from ongoing stress at work that hasn't been managed properly, essentially. That leads to you feeling cynical about your job sometimes.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah. Maybe you don't feel like you have the same productivity at work as you used to. You might feel like your job is pointless to an extent, no matter what you do.
You're not making a difference.
Yep.
But burnout can also leak into other areas of your life too.
Mm-hmm.
And just make you overall exhausted.
Exactly.
By everything.
Yep. Yep. And something that I think is tough about this in the animal care field in general, whether that's shelter work, veterinary work, wherever, is that one of the contributing factors is being underpaid, being understaffed, and working long hours.
All things out of your control.
Yep. And all things that happen in these jobs.
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
So then what's compassion fatigue?
So compassion fatigue can only happen to people that are like witnessing trauma, like essentially in their work, or like have an emotionally exhausting workplace. So, that's unique to like healthcare workers or people that work with people or people that work with animals.
Givers,
Mhm.
basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's more defined as like the emotional and physical exhaustion that can happen from caring for people who are suffering or like witnessing suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say the unique thing about animal care work is that often you're seeing both animals suffer and people suffer.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like the pets and their owners. Or even like the animals and like you and your staff around you that also care about animals. So it's upsetting to see them in pain.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess the big thing that I would say for people to take away is that compassion fatigue is unique to a helping profession.
Yeah. Or I would suppose if you were taking care of someone else in a large capacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if you have a very difficult behavior dog,
Sure, yeah.
or if you're caring for an ill family member.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, like caregiver fatigue.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a book by Emily Nagoski and Amelia Nagoski called Burnout. And they also have a workbook that is like really helpful. But they say that compassion fatigue is a primary cause of burnout among givers and caregivers and stuff. So one could be the cause of the other or vice versa. And sometimes they go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they don't, but often I feel like they do.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be because I've had people ask me like, oh, can you experience both at once? And I'm like, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure you can. I think one of the features of compassion fatigue too that's helpful for people to know is like a lot of the emotional feelings with it are like maybe intrusive thoughts, like guilt, shame, which I have heard people say about like sometimes their lack of emotion towards situations. Like they'll be like, oh, I'm horrible because I'm like not
Kind of numb.
I'm like not
Yeah.
upset by this super upsetting thing, or I'm like joking about it,
Or you're minimizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like you're not, you don't need to feel like a bad person because of that. It's like that's a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you were to like feel all the feelings about every single thing, like you wouldn't really be able to.
Yeah, you wouldn't be in a good place.
Right.
know.
Yeah. In the workbook, it even says that staying in a bad situation can be a sign of compassion fatigue. So recognizing that your work-life balance is not appropriate, but continuing it and not kind of working on your work situation
Yeah.
to make it better.
Yeah. I also think it's really hard, it's hard to talk about like what to do in these situations, so to speak, because like if you're experiencing either of these, like the bottom line is you're already exhausted.
Yeah.
So then to be like, oh, let me add this
Yeah. Here's a
to
to-do
fix
list
this.
to climb out of the well you're in.
Plug for veterinary social workers so they can help you find resources.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with burnout, like especially it's tough because like burnout is not your fault. Neither is compassion fatigue, obviously, but burnout is theoretically
Not always something you can control.
Yeah, and it's not like, a result of just how you feel. Like it literally is a result of like being overworked and being underpaid. And then one of those solutions is like taking a break. And it's like, okay, well, let's be realistic. Like you can't eat
Right.
to survive. you know?
Exactly.
And talk about like a facility that's open 24/7, 365 days a week. Like you literally never get a true break.
Right.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I think about it and I'm like, is there a way that we could just close for 1 week.
Yeah. I mean,
Everyone can have a break.
I think that is a fair thought, right?
Yeah.
Because business first, puts the employees first. And so closing for a period of time, especially after a huge event like a pandemic or people coming into your city and murdering and kidnapping people, and allowing staff to have that recuperation period is a good business decision because your staff will come back recharged and ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I think a lot of places think that it's impossible, but anything can be possible if you put your mind to it.
Yeah. And like, it's impossible till you do it, but
Right.
it's like, I think it sounds extreme to people, but it's like when you're so far in, like sometimes I think you do need to truly.
Right. You're
be
in
able
an
to
extreme
reset.
situation.
Yeah.
So we might need to take extreme measures to care for the people in the extreme situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I've heard from other veterinary social workers that they've proposed some things that like people don't want to hear. And like, I think that's part of it. Cause I think when you come in from an outside perspective, it's like, ooh, this is, this situation is not good. And you really need to do X, Y, Z to fix it. But when you've been in it for so long, like years or months or whatever, it's kind of just like, this is how it is, which is like a really dangerous mindset. But
that's kind of vet med as a whole right now.
Yeah.
This is where it is. And what do we do now? Rather than just keep going and pushing.
So what are some of the ways to know if you might be suffering from burnout or compassion fatigue?
Yeah, I would say, well, burnout, I feel like, honestly, probably like everyone, at least I'm sure all three of us can relate to like that feeling.
Yeah.
Just kind of like those things of dreading the work day, like things like that, which
crying
like,
on your way to work.
Yes. And like, am I saying that you're going to be happy to go to work every single day of your life? Like, no, that's just not.
Right.
True.
But like that
Yeah.
kind of more extreme feeling, the dread, the
Yeah.
fear, crying.
Yeah. Or like, I know something's happened to me before where it's been like staying up at night because I feel like I have that's like my time and my work is taking away my time.
Revenge bedtime.
Yes. Revenge staying up.
Yeah.
So yeah, like those things that, feel more extreme than your average, like.
And your average bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then like compassion fatigue, I mean, I would say for me, like personally, something that surprised me about veterinary medicine, honestly, is that I've had like intrusive thoughts about like my own animals, like since working in veterinary medicine, where I've been like, oh, I need to like think about why I'm thinking that. Like I've just randomly thought about like my dog dying. And, like I never thought about that before. I like was, I guess, witnessing like death more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Witnessing emergencies and stuff.
Yeah. I think just like taking note too of like those things that are like popping up, that you might be like, hey, this doesn't feel like.
Right. This doesn't feel
Totally
aligned with who
normal.
I am.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think, when I've talked about compassion fatigue and burnout before, like it's such a big topic that I do want to be able to say, like, here are some things that you can do that can actually help. And something I focused on is like recognizing when you are in a situation that's like really emotionally charged or really like traumatic, super sad. And instead of just like moving on, like actually taking like literally, even if it's 1 minute. And I have kind of compared it to like when you get bit by an animal. Like if you are working, let's say, and you get bit, like usually, sometimes you might get like shaky after, or like you're physically like unable to continue doing your work unless you take a minute to like recover.
You kind of have to complete that stress cycle.
Yeah. And the same as like, I mean, I know it's not exactly the same, but like I've talked about it with people before. I mean, like think about like when a dog shakes off or something that's like they're physically releasing stress from their body.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think it's more, people can compare it more to something that physically happened to them. Like, you know, when I had this injury, I had to take a minute. But I try to have people think about that with like an emotional situation. Like instead of just being like, that was really sad and really like fucked up for lack of a better word, I'm just going to like go to the next thing. Like, can I literally take like 1 minute or like 2 minutes to even like step outside? Because like realistically, to just like continue going to your next thing, like those 2 minutes are going to make you better able to do your next thing anyway.
If you don't take those minutes, you're kind of starting a stress cycle, getting 3/4 of the way through, and then restarting it again. And things can kind of compound.
Yeah. And there's, like I said, this is like such a big topic. It's hard to like summarize it, I guess, eloquently. But there is a veterinary social worker that I really like her stuff. Her name is Angie Aurora. And she did a talk that was about like basically what you just said. It's about like a ladder of stress. And it kind of talks about how like if you don't move all the way through an emotion, you kind of just cycle back down to like not feeling at all.
Yeah.
So like you sort of have to get like through the whole emotion, even though it doesn't feel pleasant. And like that is what we want to avoid. Is like the unpleasantness. So like feeling sad or like even being like angry, like maybe you're angry at like a decision like an owner made maybe, which like happens, you know, or a decision, whatever, someone else made, like, and you're kind of just like, oh, if I ignore this, then it doesn't feel so bad. But like actually feeling it, I don't know. I feel like that sounds sort of like silly, but that's like the best way I can.
Yeah. Well, my question was always, okay, so I'm burnt out. Now what do I do? And I read that Burnout book from Emily and Amelia Nagoski. And there was a part where they were like, this is where things get scary. And I got scared and I didn't read it, but then I did. And it's just about the patriarchy. We can handle it at this point in life. But the question was always, how do you complete the stress cycle and how do you know? So in the workbook, they say that it's like knowing when you're full after a meal or like knowing when you've had an orgasm. Your body will tell you, and some people will have an easier time than others. They also say that you should pay attention to how you feel, and when it happens, you'll know. So taking those 2 minutes, whatever you did in those 2 minutes, you'll know by how you feel after. If you don't feel better, even if you don't feel like you felt bad in the beginning, if you don't feel better, then next time try something different. And I also think that, you know, obviously finding a therapist, learning coping skills and all of those things so that you have something to do in those 2 minutes and you're not just scrolling your phone because that's not completing the cycle.
It's just another
dissociating from it. And sometimes you might need to dissociate from it, and that's okay. But it's important to recognize that we have to get through the hard things to get to good things again.
And I think too, like sometimes I've given some examples to people just if they need like a concrete thing of like literally like running your hands under cold water or like doing a box breathing thing or, you know, like just being outside. But you know, I try not to be like, do this and it'll work because it is sort of like unique to you, I would say.
And it's very personal, but something that a therapist can help you with.
And I think.
Or a veterinary social worker.
And I think too, like, even that feeling of like, you'll know when, you know, your body will tell you. I think even with like talking about it, like sometimes I've talked to people after a really upsetting or traumatic thing and I'm not even really like saying that much, but they will know when they feel better after
acknowledging
it
it sometimes is enough.
Yeah.
And acknowledging it within your own self.
I used to do this thing when I worked at a shelter. There were a couple things that were really hard. One of them was in-shelter euthanasias. That was really hard. And so this is like just sort of more aligned like with my spirituality and who I am. But like I would take a moment when I got home. I didn't want to do this at work. I wanted to do this in the privacy of my home. So I had like a candle and I would just sit with the lit candle and kind of stare at it just for a moment or two and basically thank that dog for being here and trying their best and just wishing them peace. And then I would extinguish the candle and then I would feed my own dog a couple of treats as like,
wow.
Yeah.
just like a little be with that grief for a moment and then let it go because it was waking me up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And similarly, when I was training at the shelter and I would advise someone on a path and they would ignore me or they wouldn't take my advice when I knew, especially when I knew like there was a dangerous situation, those dogs would keep me up at night where I would just wake up in the middle of the night and I would think about that dog in that situation and it was getting really taxing. What I ended up doing is I would write the dog's name on a leaf or like something biodegradable, like something from nature, and then I would let it go in water. And that way I could watch it drift away from me and watch it become not my problem anymore.
Yeah.
And like those two little, like, for lack of a better word, rituals really helped because I could see it and complete it as a thought. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I watched this candle and I thought about this dog. Like I wasn't on my phone. I was staring at the candle. I was thinking about this dog. I honored them in that moment and then I said goodbye. And then, you know, for the people that wouldn't take my advice, well, I can't make them take my advice.
Right.
I can't make them come to safety. All I can do is advise, and I did. And so now it is not my problem anymore.
Out of your
And, like,
control.
coming
It's
up
done.
with a way to see it not my problem anymore was super helpful for me. And I feel like those two things specifically, I think really got me through that job emotionally and really, really helped.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're helpful to somebody else out there.
Yeah. No, those are both really like beautiful and like symbolic.
And tangible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ways.
Those are my jam. Like,
Yeah.
how can I see this, touch it, make it real? Like take it
Yeah.
out of the realm of like in my head a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Because when I get stuck in my head is when I get problems.
Yeah. I have like actually recently been kind of like toying around with the idea of some sort of, I basically noticed that at work, you know, some people like take a lot of pride in making really good like prints and stuff for owners when their animal has passed away.
Yeah.
And although I think, of course, that's for, you know, the animal's owner, and we all know what it feels like to have those items and like have them be nice. And, you know, we want it to be really nice for the owner, but I think it also like is that in a good way, like a little bit for us.
Yeah,
In
like I felt that way definitely, that like when I had a case that ended in euthanasia, the making of the paw print kind of became that ritual of letting that situation go. I'm glad we experienced it together. It was an honor. I'm letting you go into the world where I don't have to feel sad forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was trying to think about a way, you know, because I've noticed too, sometimes there's in different departments, there'll be like paw prints like hanging up, you know, of like animals that you guys have worked with. And I was like, oh, could there be a space where maybe there was like a display of like on purpose, not just like a place where we hang them up, but like a purposeful place where like we can memorialize pets that we've worked with, and like maybe even a place to like write things to them or things like that. So that people have a tangible way to be like processing these things.
We kind of had that in our office. We had a shadow box with paw prints and nose prints. And then we had a wall. I found this super cool thing at a Goodwill that we used to hang thank you cards. So like, even though we can't see the messages all at once, we can see the volume and say like, this is the amount of times we were appreciated,
Right.
and see it as like a mass thing.
Yeah.
So definitely like in our office space, we had that I mean, we just don't have it now because we're under construction, but
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, like in talking about this, like the other, I guess, side of the coin that you will see, and I'm not saying this is like bad or trying to like diagnose someone who feels this way, but there might be someone who's like kind of having no emotional reaction to things. And like kind of just says, you know, like maybe it doesn't upset me anymore, but like to me, like the truth of the matter is like you came into animal work for a like you care, so of course, and like you do, but like sometimes when I see or talk to people like that, it makes me, you know, feel like sad because I know that they're experiencing that somewhere, but like not in a way that maybe they feel comfortable expressing it, or they might be like, you know, I'm just sort of like pushing it down.
Yeah.
And like they might be recognizing that, but like I'm sure we all know like eventually that does come out.
Yeah.
like, one
So
way
check
or
on your
another.
friends and your coworkers and ask them how they cope with the stress and with loss and things like that. And sometimes even just asking someone will help them kind of come into their body a little bit more and be like, oh, I didn't think I was feeling that, but I am.
Yeah. Yeah. And like to your point about the ritual when you would get home because you didn't want to do that at work, like it might be that those people are doing that too, you know?
Yeah.
And that's also, you know, I totally understand that.
Some people are more social in those kinds of things and some people are more private.
Yeah.
But also I think that there are times when everyone might need a more social recovery. So in the Burnout book, it says that sometimes, you know, you might need to be recovering in a social setting with safe people if you are gaslit, if you feel like you're not enough, when you're sad, and when you are boiling with rage. Specifically, those 4 things kind of tell you when you should be doing this with someone else versus it's okay and safe to do by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, sometimes people like want to isolate because then they might not have to feel like what they're feeling.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and it's easier to dissociate from it if you're isolated.
totally. And some people, you know, are obviously more introverted than others and things like that. But like in general, very generally speaking, like humans want to be connected. Like they just do.
If we didn't want to be connected, we wouldn't be in an animal field.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I would say too, just even like being with people or like letting people know that you're feeling sad or whatever, like is very helpful to like get through these feelings that are just like inevitable with animal care work. And when I've talked to people about this too, a quote that is from that social worker I mentioned, Angie Aurora, that people have really like resonated with and liked, is that compassion fatigue. She calls it empathetic distress also, but is not a personal failure. It's an occupational hazard.
Yep.
So like by saying that, she's basically saying, you know, you're not, or how I interpreted it is like, you're not too sensitive. It's not that you can't do this job. It's like, this is a hazard of your job.
She kind of normalizes it.
Yeah. And
it's
like
just a part of the job, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like in the same, like on the same page, your job should be treating it that way. Like just like you your job prevents you from getting hurt in other ways.
Yeah.
Your job should be having these preventative measures for like when you do feel this.
Like
Or
an
if
emotional
you-
wet floor sign.
Yes.
Yeah. Or
yeah.
if you're self-employed, maybe you could talk to your therapist about ways that you can recognize and then treat the symptoms as they occur.
Yeah, true. That's a good point with the self-employed thing. Yeah. And I think, you know, like therapy is this thing that people feel super overwhelmed by, especially if they're already feeling exhausted and like I was saying, like another to-do almost. But I really do think there's no replacement for like someone who is paid to listen to you,
A trained professional. Yeah.
And I think some people think about that in a negative way. Like this person is just here for money or something. Like I've had some people tell me that that's a barrier to therapy for them.
Yeah.
But to me, I know personally, like just that outlet of like, I have this hour a week and like, it's not that it's not work. Like it is.
Oh, it's work.
It's work and it's hard work. But like once you get into that routine and you have a space that's for you and even an hour of your week is essentially nothing really.
Right.
But it's so like irreplaceable to have that time to just like vent.
100% focus on you.
Yeah.
Because really, even when you're having revenge bedtime, you're not focusing on you.
No.
That kind of purposeful, everything is rounding out about you is, like you said, irreplaceable.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think just like in animal care work and veterinary medicine in general, just like continuing to push for like, you know, here is why people need more money. Here is why people need more of a break. And again, that's hard to do when you are in that like survival mode.
Yeah.
But I think just talking about that more and recognizing that more is part of the solution to hopefully like making things better for the people who are doing this very hard work.
Yeah. And speaking of barriers to therapy, if money is a barrier, I know that a lot of therapy practices will have cheaper rates or sliding scales for interns or people learning.
People like working towards their license. Yeah.
Which they have oversight with. So it's not like you're getting some bozo off the street. You're getting someone who wants to do this as a job and has a mentor over them. So it's kind of a way to take down that barrier of cost, because a lot of the good therapists don't accept insurance for patriarchal and American reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say too, you know, I've worked with therapists, and I'm not saying to like, I guess, take advantage of this for therapists, but I've worked with therapists and have coworkers who are social workers who are like, if I have a consistent client, I would rather work with them to like make something work than lose them as a client. Like, you know, I want to help them. So, you know, I would say too, if you have someone that you really like working with, because that's one of the hardest things too, is finding someone that works for you. But you have someone you really like working with, your financial situation changes, or you know, are struggling, I would say just talk to them too and be like, you know, is there anything else I can do? Or even maybe lessening the amount of times you go, but still going.
Hey, if you're going once a month, that's still once a month that you are taking to completely focus on yourself.
Yeah.
If you need help, ask.
Always.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't forget to check out our new Discord. The link will be over on our website, www.talkdogswithus.com/contact. You can find the link there and you can join us and join the conversation.
Let us know if there's anything else you want to hear from a veterinary social worker or any specific questions, and maybe we'll do some more episodes. In general.
Yeah.
Maybe, if we want to.
Perhaps.
We'll keep doing this. Okay, good night.
Talk Dogs With Us is an informational podcast and not a substitute for qualified medical advice.
Are you a pet professional or parent looking to learn more and challenge your current assumption about our pets? Then let's go on this journey together at our website, talkdogswithus.com. Give us a bark at Facebook and Instagram at Talk Dogs With Us. You can help keep the conversation going by subscribing to our Patreon, patreon.com/talkdogswithus, or buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/talkdogswithus. Art direction by Alex Oren, theme song and audio engineering by Stephen Rossblock. Check out more from him at stephenrossblock.com. Thanks for listening.